this is Whoopsie Daisy Farm, and I have been thinking about jumping onto YouTube, and of course this is not what my usual content has been or is going to become, but since I'm here, opportunity knocks. So I'm actually in a small town called Irwin, Tennessee. It's October 31st, 2024, and this is an example of some Hurricane Helene's devastation. The community is still recovering. There was actually a hospital behind me that was completely destroyed by the floodwaters. And so I actually pulled over and was able to talk to some local church members who are doing relief out of their church that's being rebuilt, and was able to interview them. The audio is terrible. I apologize for that. So hopefully you can still hear. I just wanted to ask someone from the community their opinions, and I was really glad I met Miss Sue, because she was able to describe the situation so you get an accurate picture of what this community is struggling with without getting into hype or high emotion or politics or anything like that. She was just very gracious of, this is the reality, this is what we're dealing with, this is what we're hopeful for, and this is what we're grateful for. So come along while I talk to her about how this particular church community is recovering from Hurricane Helene. All right, so if y'all could just tell me who you are and if you're from here and what we're seeing right over there, if you don't mind.
I go to this church. I've been here almost 30 years.
Okay.
I'm Sue Webb. My husband and I have been here 45 years.
Okay.
45 years and older than I'm in life.
Oh, hush.
I think he just called you old.
I really did.
You're the grandest. That's what it is.
Ignore him.
I love you.
I love you too.
I'm gonna get this to the.
Be careful. This is World Central Kitchen, and they've been supplying our food trucks every day since the flood came.
Okay.
And they're feeding the community, all the road workers, the church workers, anybody in the community that's working.
Oh my
Okay. It looks like the riverbed just kind of triples.
Right. North Carolina has a river that comes into this area. They were getting so much rain and so much water that their riverbanks could not carry it. So that's the reason we got all the water and all the flooding was from North Carolina.
I mean, were you aware of Hurricane Katrina when that went through Louisiana, New Orleans and stuff? And would you compare this event to that, or?
I would compare it to that. Over here, there was a storage building, then there was a campsite, then on down there was a radio station, and then our hospital, and everything got wiped out, even our hospital.
Your hospital got wiped out. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
The flood came so fast that there was, I think, 60 people they had to rescue from the roof on the hospital. I think there were 11 patients that they couldn't get out.
Okay.
And the rest of them were employees, and they had to be rescued by helicopter.
Okay. So they did get those 11 patients out.
They
Okay.
did.
Okay. So it kind of seems like the news has kind of moved on. A lot of people have Appalachia's better now.
Right.
We sent aid. It's all fixed. So as residents, what would you all say to that?
I'm really disappointed myself, because whenever it first happened, the Weather Channel, the World Weather Channel, came in and they did a video of our church and the surrounding area, and that's how we got so much publicity. And we've actually had people from California to come in and help, Arizona, Pennsylvania. We had a group from Pennsylvania that just left today. We've had a lot of workers all over the United States, you wouldn't believe. But now that we're not getting any
Publicity.
no publicity, so people just don't know about us. We've had people from California, Arizona. They say they see it on TV, Facebook, YouTube, or whatever, but they never really got a picture until they came and looked at it. So I think that's what we really need. We need some of these political people to come into our area and see how devastated the people are and how they're living with probably no food, and they have kids, and it's terrible. We have a major inspection tomorrow in our church. We can't get no permits or anything like that until we pass the inspection tomorrow.
So there was 4 feet of mud in here?
4 foot.
Wow.
And we've had volunteers to come in and they've restructured, so we're hoping tomorrow that we have some electrical work that's been done.
Mm-hmm.
We hope that he'll pass the inspection tomorrow.
Okay. So I mean, you still need construction relief and just rebuilding.
And then once we get into the church, we're going to need everything put back. We've had a piano donated, an organ.
Did you have to gut your church?
Yes.
So how deep was the mud in here?
It was past the walls.
Okay.
The walls were wood trimmed.
Mm-hmm.
We had a group come in and redo our choir, and they completed it within 3 hours.
3 hours. That's amazing. Wow.
This is our classrooms. We had 2 restrooms down here, a ladies and a men's, and then our pastor's office was down here.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And did, like, the office was completely destroyed,
Oh,
right?
everything was gone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, there was no salvaging anything?
No, we didn't get anything out.
And of your church members, how many church members lost, like, their households? Everyone?
No.
Oh, no one. No one did. Oh, okay, cool. Oh, so it was the church that was damaged, but the households are okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
None of our church members was devastated. Their home, everybody has their home.
Okay.
It's the mountain people.
Okay. Which, I mean,
Mountains.
is just right up there. It's
Right,
not that far.
Appalachia.
Okay.
And we have so many people living in the mountain now in tents
Yeah.
and sleeping bags, and their homes are destroyed, their roads are destroyed, and, you know, for the help of the community,
Yeah.
that's the way they're surviving. Now, you do know that it took away our fellowship hall.
Like, oh my goodness.
We
So,
had about, I'd say, 25 to 3,000 foot fellowship hall that hooked onto our church. And when the water came in, it disconnected the fellowship hall from the church and washed away.
so the fellowship hall just floated away.
The fellowship hall hooked on here. It went all the way down, and then it came out here. It was like in a L form.
Okay, so all this concrete was the fellowship hall, and it just washed away into the river.
Just took it away from the church.
Okay. So what Miss Sue was telling me is that the water was up to that house. That's why the house is leaning. And then they had a gym family center here that the water just picked up and moved to somewhere else.
But God is so great. Today we got a new van donated from Virginia, from the church in Virginia. So we're thrilled.
Okay, so the cross was built by the first group that came, and then the van was just donated by a group in Virginia.
Right, by
Okay.
a church group in Virginia today.
All right. Like, do you all think you were hit the hardest or the least hardest, or where do you think you fall on that scale?
We got hit hard.
You got hit hard, but this wasn't the worst.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Because the road down 107 down that way, a couple of bridges have washed out.
Okay.
I know the river road is washed out all the way up to the cliff.
In this area, there has been several bodies been found. Yesterday, there was another body found across the road from where it was a demolition. People, they were taking up some trees and stuff. They found another body yesterday, and she's not been identified yet.
And that was, what was the date yesterday?
The 30th.
October 30th. Yeah. So, because what I saw on the news was that all the body count was done.
No.
So you all are still recovering bodies.
Right.
So, I mean, the total body count is still to be determined.
Right.
Those of you wondering, how are they still recovering bodies from the devastation? There's nothing gruesome that I'm about to show you. This is a rug that I almost stepped on, and it's so saturated full of, mud and stuff, I didn't even see it. And, I mean, there's just stuff everywhere still in the floodplain that you barely see till you're on top of it, and then you may not see it.
We just got the 4-lane open yesterday, from a 4-lane to a 2-lane.
Oh, okay.
One of the bridges was washed away, so they had to come in and repair it. We had tons of traffic that was having to go through our little town.
I was some of them on Tuesday, actually.
So we had tons and tons and tons of traffic. Our little town is small, the streets are narrow. It was really hard for the truck drivers.
Yeah.
And the big truck.
Wow.
All this was covered in water.
Where did the water come up to? Right here where...
The water came up to where the brown is on the windows.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Wow.
But this was nothing like the ocean.
Oh, really?
It was so scary. I hope I never see anything like that again. And the devastation, I mean, it was so powerful. It was just moving so powerful. You know, it was so scary.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it took everything in its path.
Yeah.
And they're just now recovering, you know, the debris from the bridge structure.
Uh-huh. Wow.
This was behind the church. The riverbank came all the way up close to the church,
Mm-hmm.
and it just totally rerouted this.
Wow.
We met here last Wednesday night and had prayer,
Mm-hmm.
and we let everybody come in and write their name and a favorite scripture on the post.
That's really cool.
It was very emotional.
Mm-hmm. Were you aware before this event how important what community was? Like, has this event changed your perspective on community and local
Right.
networking?
Yes, it's really changed because now we are a loving body.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's helping everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
We're not only helping our church, we are working right across the street with a house that was severely hit with the storm, and we've had workers over there. They're taking the house down all the way to the bare minimum so they can rebuild.
Okay. Did you all have flood insurance?
No,
Okay. So how, like, have you gotten insurance aid?
no.
Okay.
We
So
won't
how
be
are-
able, we won't be able to get anything from FEMA because we're an organization, nonprofit.
Oh, okay.
But they told us that they could give us a low-income loan, which we don't want.
Right. Did you have any groups from the Red Cross come in, or?
No,
Okay.
we've not had any county, no help.
So this has just been church members?
Just the church.
So how are you rebuilding?
Well, we've had a lot of donations. You wouldn't believe the donations that we've had, and we've had so many volunteers. I mean, we have had hundreds of volunteers from all over the United States. We had a group here today of 8 from Pennsylvania, and they just left today.
How did you make those connections? Do you know?
When it first happened, the National Weather Channel came, and they did a story on this area, and they covered our church.
Oh, they did. Okay.
And so that's how people got in
The word.
contact with our church.
Okay.
But now the media
The hype's
has
down.
just stopped coming, and we're getting no,
Okay.
we're getting no publicity now. You know, a lot of us are sad because we're not being covered now. You know, we were covered in the beginning, but they're not coming in to see what's being done. I know day before yesterday, WJHL in Johnson City, the news was here. They covered the road. We got 2 lanes of the road open, north and south of the 4-lane, and they talked with the superintendent of the schools because our school just started back Tuesday, and I think that's all they talked to, maybe.
It's just covering the schools open
Right.
and the roads open,
Right.
and that's it. And that was a local news network.
Right.
That wasn't a national or anything like that.
No.
Okay.
To my knowledge, there's never been national news in here.
Okay.
So,
Not to get political, what would you say to people who are just sending all their money to Red Cross or promoting FEMA or like the big alphabet soup places? Like, how, as someone who's on the ground needing aid, what's your opinion?
I think the community needs the help, which FEMA is not reaching out. They're giving the people $750 and they're putting it in their checking account or their bank account. These little people that live in the mountains, they can't get out of the mountains in order to go to the bank and get it.
So would you say that $750 is actually directly impacting your community for the better, or is it just kind of a virtue signal?
It's just I don't know. It's just a piece or
Okay, an appeasement,
yeah.
but it's not actually
no,
helping.
No.
Okay. Do you think this is a political party issue, or is this just people aren't aware of Appalachia and what the real needs
I
are?
don't think people are aware. These are mountain people,
Yeah.
and they're not very they don't want to ask for a lot of help. They're just very humble human beings trying to survive. Poor people, some of them are uneducated, you know, and they're just trying to survive.
Do you think America as a general rule is aware of Appalachian culture,
No.
mountain people, what the mountain people's needs are?
No,
Do you think that needs to change?
it needs to change.
What would be your knee-jerk react? Like, what would be the fix to that?
To have our governor come into this area and see the devastation.
So, just do you care if it's a Republican or Democrat at this
No,
point? You just
not-
want the leadership of our
Right.
country to show up and say,
Right.
"We see you, we care about you,
Right.
we're helping you,"
Right.
and we acknowledge Appalachia
Right.
is a region that is not really
You're
known
praying
about.
that God will put the right person in the capital, you know, to look at everybody, not just a small group of people, to look at everybody.
Yeah. Hurricane Katrina was a news story in the past. Now that you've lived something similar, what has changed about your perspective when you see catastrophes on the news?
I'm going to be more aware of the people, the devastation, especially the children, the elderly, and, you know, we're just going to pray more
Yeah.
for these people. And when this happened, I was very angry. I was mad because I couldn't understand why God would let something as precious and sweet as we had to be ruined. But then I got to praying about it, and I saw a message on TV from a pastor that we listened to, and he preached on no matter how bad the trouble is, you have to give God the glory. I was so angry that I couldn't come out here for a few days. So when I started coming and helping the ladies with the lunch and all that, I'm more aware of how good God is.
So you can see his goodness even
Oh,
in the
yes,
devastation.
Yes. We went through a flood in 1977, but it was nothing like this. And it survived. And this little church survived this time. So I think God has a reason that we're here. And he's shown it with all the workers that have come in. They've prayed with us, they've cried with us, they've worshiped with us. You know, you wouldn't believe the people that we've met, that we just fell in love with, that we're going to constantly keep in contact.
I wanted to show this because this is not far from our farm. This is not far from our community. And, you know, it's been a problem in our country for, I think, since we had people moving to Appalachia, that it is a unique culture and it's not understood by our country at large. You know, people think it's a beautiful place to drive through, you know, it's a nice place to visit, but people don't understand there is a rich history and culture here. There's people who live here, and while it is one of the poorest regions in our country, the people here may be poor in finances and resources, but they are very rich as a culture. They're rich in their determination and their grit, and I just want to help shed some light on that, because I think there are lots of lessons to be learned in the community here in Appalachia. And you know, as a society in America that likes to brag about being first world and likes to brag about being progressive and tolerant, there is still a lack of curiosity and a lack of investigation when it comes to minority groups. And I would make the argument that while the people in Appalachia are not a minority group that has received a lot of hype in the last several years, they are a people group and they are a culture, and they haven't had compassion or understanding from our culture at large.